Hi, this is Elisa Casella, and I'd like to share with you my Module 6 Wiki project, Presentation of Learning. I teach a forestry course, and the name of this particular Wiki project is The Fantasy of Trees. To summarize the 3-day project, we start with the idea that trees are all around us. Students will be able to talk to forestry professionals or a landscape architect, whichever it is of their choice that they feel will support them most. They then get a chance to pick a tree, any tree. They'll start out with 3, but they'll be able to narrow it down based on feedback and brainstorming. They then will produce a presentation in pairs that will be presented in a kiosk format. One of the things that makes this a little bit different than gathering information and presenting it to the class is that we're also going to embed the role that trees have played in mythology, stories, and the culture of civilizations. Students will be able to include factual information as well as common mythology. They'll present their information then to an authentic audience. Would I do the project myself? Yes. As I mentioned, this is more than present a tree. I'd be learning from forestry and landscape experts, and really bringing it to what trees mean in our community and culture. We have trees around us. Why? They happen to be dying in large numbers, and what does this mean for us? Are we planting the right trees in the right ways, in the right places? Also, I happen to think the mythology part would be so much fun to learn about. And students have absolute choice of the trees that they can choose. Perhaps it's something connected to their past, or something connected to their family. Is there student voice and choice embedded in this project? There are multiple entry points. Students have choices about which expert they'd like to speak with, choices in selection of the tree to learn about. My colleague's suggestion about them choosing 3 initially, I think, is a great idea, and I'll be including that. They have choice in how to include mythology, stories, or cultural aspects. There's choice in what to learn about the animals and plants that depend upon their tree. And they have a lot of choice in how to present information in kiosk fashion. The door is wide open. They also have choice in developing the rubric that will be used for the criteria for this project. This is an image of dwarf mistletoe on a fir tree, causing disease and damage to a fir tree and perhaps even those around it. So the question that we ask ourselves is, what do we do? And do we care? If we care, how do we solve this? Because this is a real-world problem. Checking for understanding. How can I help students stay on track and be able to know that they're headed in the right directions? Student pairs will share progress at the end of each class with a couple of other student pairs. This allows them to say their information out loud to another group who hasn't heard about it before, and hopefully get really valuable feedback and support. Exit slips about progress, confidence, and concerns. This allows me to read through them, whether they're on computer or on actual paper slips, and come right back to that the next morning with very specific information and questions for different pairs. Roaming the classroom to listen in, so valuable, helpful to me and helpful to the students. My colleague made a suggestion that I really am excited about implementing: daily progress reports. Having the students be reflective about what they've learned and what they're interested in and how I can help them. Is this a real-world problem? Yes. Trees around us are dying. We may not even notice it, but in a forestry class, this is something we really want to take a close look at. Why are the trees dying? Is it important that we have trees in our community, and what do they mean to our culture or cultures? Are we planting the right trees in the right ways, in the right places? We look around and we ask ourselves how we can bring something to our environment that's important to us. As we walk around our communities, we see trees. So let's take a closer look at them and try to understand why they're there. And also, again, based on a colleague's recommendation, what about invasive species and non-native trees? What does it mean when we bring those into our environment, and what's their impact? This is a visual example of what we sometimes do with trees in our environment. And we have to ask ourselves, how healthy is this for trees? And how healthy is this for the organisms that depend upon trees? Industry connections. We're going to be working with forestry personnel both as a resource and an audience, with landscape architects, again as a resource and an audience, and based upon the recommendation of my colleague, to look for local arborists to also bring into the mix, both as audience, of course, and as resource. Is there an audience? The answer to that is yes. In addition to fellow students, teachers, we'll have students from other forestry classes where we can build upon this information. We have our forestry personnel, we have our landscape architect, and we have hopefully a local arborist. This isn't about presenting only for a grade. This will be presented in the beginning of the year, and we're going to be expanding upon it to the point where my hope is, towards the end of the school year, we'll actually be planting trees in specific areas, either around the campus or near the campus. And our decisions about what we choose, what will grow there, what will survive, and how we choose them based upon what we're looking for from trees, I think will be very exciting. So thank you very much for sharing this wiki project with me, and I appreciate your time.